why would you entertain someone in the country that wants your downfall and wants to cause disruption in the country?
There's Americans that do that
The
already. So it doesn't
Constitution,
matter.
the
Yeah,
Constitution, the Constitution though protects people, right? That's
Yes,
kind of the glory about the
exactly.
Constitution, is that it doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not. People will have the same rights so long as they're within the borders of this land. So the Constitution tells you to take care of them as if they're your own. Well, not take care of them, but to treat them as if they're citizens.
Yeah.
So
Good evening, Incarnation.
I need to
Yeah.
clear it up. I need to clear up my understanding.
Hey,
So,
McGrandy.
Hey,
so
buddy.
even if you're not a U.S. citizen, you're covered under the U.S. Constitution.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
So
I
long
thought
as
it
you're
was-
within
I
the
thought it was-
continental, so long as you're within the continental United States or within any of its military bases, you are covered under the Constitution, whether you're a citizen or not.
Well, I thought. Well, I'm surprised and quite shocked by that answer. But there we go.
Last chance. Can you bring up Incarnation's second oldest comment? Terrorist groups.
Yeah, so I wanted to say this about this guy, this Mahmoud guy, and like these terror groups or not these terror groups, sorry, but these protests that you saw on campuses. A lot of these protests were sort of funded by terrorist groups who were using Palestinian Aid Association or aid groups, like you'll often see them like Palestinian Youth Organization. Well, these youth organization will be receiving funding from proxies via
NGOs.
Saudi Arabia or Qatar or these kind of places, and they're deliberately using people like Mahmoud as a vessel to propagate anti-Western shit. And
But you're stating it as a possibility, not that it's a known.
It's known in Canada, and these groups are all the same. They're all connected together.
Yeah,
So
that's always been true. Incarnation, there is a definite attempt, intention to launder charitable donations to terrorist groups through legitimate sounding charities or charities that have a legitimate goal or a legitimate portion on one side, and then some of it goes to terrorist groups on the other. So it's a tricky problem.
Give a last answer. We're all basic opinions here, and of course, I come in the deep end and just said what I said, thinking that because he's not a citizen. But can we confirm what he said? If, for example, he's praising Hamas, it's game over for me. It doesn't matter then. You can still fuck off.
Well, we really don't know what he's saying.
What is
do
he
we?
being accused of, or what do we know that he said?
We know what his groups have said, and his groups have engaged in destruction of property and destruction of all sorts of different things on various different campuses. They have done targeted harassment of people that would fall under probably a fair variety of hate crimes in most other countries, and probably under harassment in the United States. So like this person, right, was the head of a fairly significant protest that caused quite a bit of disturbances and specifically targeted people who were Jewish. So like this person isn't an angel. Let's get one thing clear here.
No, I agree.
Well, that's far from what I'm not saying that either, but I would like to actually know what he personally has been accused of what he said.
Good question.
Well, let's go see. I mean, we can see what basis they...
I'm trying to pull up.
What the specific thing that happened to this guy is the Secretary of State had reasonable ground to believe that his actions had potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequences, essentially.
We're talking about Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi.
This guy
Rubio.
This guy is more than...
Oh, Marco Rubio, just as bad.
Yeah.
Forgive me.
No, but like this guy is a bit more than that. Like this guy goes on like Al Jazeera. He's a contributor to like.
It doesn't matter.
No,
it doesn't matter.
It does matter.
It's America. He can say what he wants to say.
Well, no,
there's no violation of that. As long as
he's an American citizen,
it doesn't matter.
But he's engaging in criminal activities.
He's not engaging in criminal activity.
He just pointed that out. Incarnation did, dude.
No, dude. This is just like this is like putting Martin
This
Luther
is what
King.
we need it confirmed at this stage. We need it sort of confirmed. You know,
The only
Alright.
accusation is activities aligned to Hamas, a designated terrorist organization. That's the only
But
quote
nothing
I'm seeing.
specific. There's no specific threat. He mentioned something out of Canada, but we haven't heard any of that in the United States.
But
Yeah,
you just
I'll
did now.
say that
You just did
the
now.
word
He's,
aligned.
he's arrested for saying things that are aligned with Hamas. Like
the word
So
aligned has
you
no
were allowed
legal,
to say things aligned with
legal
Hamas
strength.
in America.
Sure you are. Until
Yeah.
now.
No, not until now.
Well, I would argue that the Patriot Act definitely disagrees with that. And as soon as the government designates something as
No,
terrorist,
this-
wait, no, I'm just
no,
let me
the
finish here.
Pat-
I just want to
the
say
Pat-
something here. Once
No,
something
the
is
Patriot
designated as
Act
terrorist,
does not do that. That
Like-
might be like 1941 or 1942. This has nothing. You're way out of line, dude.
Let him finish, then you'll know if he's on.
No, I did let him finish, and I'm interjecting. Now he can finish because he's wrong. Go ahead.
Now that you're wrong, you're allowed to finish.
Yeah, I think the United States judiciary has a very clear and outlined and established sort of due process for things that they deem linked or basically terrorist organizations. The legal due process as aligned in the Constitution doesn't apply when the government tags terrorist to that.
It absolutely applies. It absolutely applies.
Really doesn't.
It
really
does.
doesn't.
It does. I can tell you many times in American history where spies were captured, Soviet spies. Everybody falls under the jurisdiction of the Constitution. You're wrong, dude.
Oh, of
You're
course.
fucking wrong.
Oh, I don't disagree with that until you
You're
don't.
wrong. So your whole theme here is biased, and it's obviously uninformed because you're wrong.
I tend to agree with McGrandy, but not
Vehemently,
not
perhaps.
as rudely.
I mean, simply put, like just looking it up on an AI platform, it says having a green card does not necessarily mean that you are covered by the Constitution. While a green card holder has the same right to live permanently in the United States, it does not automatically grant the same rights and protections as a U.S. citizenship.
As in voting. What else?
But
That's
I
right.
believe,
We went through this. I posted this on Discord.
I believe there are U.S. Supreme Court cases that
Everybody is
explicitly
protected by the Constitution.
grant you First Amendment rights the same as a U.S. citizen if you're a non-citizen. in the
Okay,
country.
let me throw this out there. So basically, I think this would work if a British citizen talked smack in America. He couldn't get arrested for a hate crime in the UK because he talked smack in America.
No, I
So a
would say
British,
that.
so a British citizen, like I said, if they talked smack, just a British citizen said something, there would be a deemed as hate speech in the UK because they said in America that they couldn't get arrested for the hate speech because they said in America. Is that,
No, if
Yeah.
they go back to Britain, they can. If
Well,
it's online or something.
I don't know.
That's the problem with Great Britain is there's been a degradation of free speech, man. America's still America, believe it or not.
But what is free speech? That's the question, because I don't have free speech, for example. I'm in Austria, I was in Germany.
Americans don't have free
I
speech.
teach at
either.
school.
Don't
And
know.
then, you know what happens? When you criticize Islam, for example, this Ramadan, I wrote it in the comments, yeah? The children should not be fasting, but they collapse in class and they cannot follow what we say, what we teach them, okay? And then it's my fault because I say that they should not be fasting and something like that, yeah? This is crazy. You cannot. Islam is a political ideology that wants to take over the world. It's not compatible with our. So you should not be tolerant to them because when they take power, they won't be nice to you. I tell you, okay? You saw it in Syria.
Kafir.
Okay.
Kafir, you'll be
Well,
paying
that-
his zakat. You'll be
it's-
paying
it's
his
not-
zakat, my granddad, you will.
W-
My granddad, you'll be paying his zakat.
We don't disagree with you, Anna, but it's actually not germane to the conversation.
It is Islam. It's the same topic.
Yeah.
They have no free speech because we don't have free speech
But
in our
again,
country.
this isn't this guy wasn't arrested for his speech. Like it's clearly very outlined that he was arrested for his actions, which aren't covered under the First Amendment. So really, at the end of the day, he's being arrested for his actions and not his speech.
Can you specify what his actions were?
specifically under this act. It just has to say basically actions that aren't in line with the foreign policy of the United States. Really, that's all it takes for his green card to be removed, based on U.S. jurisprudence. So I don't know what to tell you.
Absolutely not. This is a terror campaign being carried out by the Bondi administration and the rest of those Trumpies. This is not legal.
Don't forget the Patriot Act seemed a really nice thing.
No, Trump has weaponized the Justice Department, and that's the problem.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that.
It sounds really good. It sounds like Antifa. It sounds like Antifa. It sounds a good name, but in reality, you know what?
Listen, I agree that DOJ is completely weaponized. I don't disagree with that. I just don't think that this particular arrest is definitely a targeted arrest. But the basis for the arrest aren't necessarily, how can I say it, egregious.
Can I tell you something? Do you guys know that there are 300 plus Venezuelans in Guantanamo right now? They were deported to Guantanamo because their mother nation was not willing to take them. They can't even build a tent city. They cannot even build a tent city down there.
Okay, so my picture.
And a lot of these people were kidnapped off the streets. They were kidnapped off the streets of the United States of America, and they were denied due process. And that's what's going on right now. Okay.
Yeah. When you arrest somebody, is that a kidnapping?
They're not being arrested. There's no warrant.
What were they arrested for?
They are being arrested.
They're not
what were they arrested for?
They're being scooped up and they're being denied due process. They do not stand before a judge. Last dance.
What were
they arrested and they do not stand before a judge.
Entering the country is a crime. Illegally.
But irrespective, the crime still needs to be adjudicated, and you still need to have your day in front of a judge.
They are being swooped up. And they are being expelled. It's completely illegal. Completely illegal.
It's probably better.
And they're being held in Guantanamo. Completely illegal. They're kidnapped victims. I'm telling you.
Let me ask you this. Incarnation, what you covered before that Mahmoud or whatever this guy's name is, what he did on the college campuses, destruction of property, threatening anti-Semitism,
Well, the anti-Semitism isn't it, but it's targeted harassment, right? Like you're deliberately going after people because they're Jewish, right?
That would be deportable behavior, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're upholding the structures who are allowing that, so if I'm supposed to sit here and say that the crime figures, like the crime bosses, are as guilty as the grunts who are doing the work, then in this case, this person, if he is a figure or he's holding a leadership figure within these protests, and he's telling the grunts to go and destroy the property, then he is as guilty as the grunts doing it, in my opinion.
Like Donald Trump. Go there.
I agree. Let's not go there. You're not listening.
Fight like hell.
So you're saying sort of like
this. We're going to take this country back.
When you get a chance, I'd like to correct the misinformation that Magrande has.
Last dance. Can you express yourself?
So
what misinformation?
Well, you'll have to be quiet. So I'll tell you. The Venezuelan migrants that were in Guantanamo Bay have already been deported to Venezuela through Honduras. So they're not there anymore. They were not kidnapped off the street. They were already subjects of final deportation orders, which did go through due process. So they were simply captured based on a final deportation order issue.
Yeah, where did you get that from? MSNPC or something? Yeah, Magrande.
I'm not going to respond to you, buddy.
Yeah, but basically, you made multiple lies.
Because
you made multiple
I know
lies
you're a
on
Welsh goose-stepping Nazi, so I'm not going to talk to you, buddy.
I'm big up for last dance.
I'll talk to.
Checking you.
But on the subject
a little bit
I'd like to talk about
cross-referencing.
Guantanamo Bay, though. I think Guantanamo
Pokes
Bay
holes in your argument all the time.
Yeah, there are holes like yours.
Big holes in your argument.
Wouldn't you agree that Guantanamo Bay?
And two, they were already ordered to
We-
leave the country.
you guys-
We,
So
we,
they had a
we don't
due
want this to
process.
degrade. Let them talk, okay?
Would you guys agree that Guantanamo Bay has been an absolute abject failure for the Trump administration?
For every administration.
But like I'm
Well,
talking like
yeah,
this, no, I'm talking
up-
specifically
up-
right now,
up-
like with the whole we're gonna bring back Guantanamo Bay. This whole public debacle that Trump put on for Guantanamo
It's
Bay.
stupid.
Did you guys see that as an abject failure so far,
Yeah.
or do you guys
Why
still
why
think
would
that
it be an abject failure?
Because there isn't a
Because it's
single
insanity.
person. Let me
It's
finish.
it's a
Randy,
way
Randy.
it's a way to put people on U.S. territory, but not subject them
Okay.
to
Wait,
civil.
I was
wait,
actually
wait,
asking
jurisdiction. They
incarnation.
put them there
Above-
because they're under military law, and
Hold on a
military
second.
law is flawed. It's not the same
Yeah, but
as
Didn't
U.S. law.
Okay,
didn't
anyways.
didn't Obama on 2008 with one of his big core things where he was going to close the Guantanamo Bay, and guess what? 8 years later, it was still fucking open, and it was still serving more people than it did when it before
Okay,
he
so as
even got into
far-
power.
alright,
Because
So
it's
he
a
didn't get rid
U.S.
of it. He
naval
didn't get rid
base,
of it,
you
did he?
dumb fuck. It's a
Guys.
U.S. naval base. It's a
Guys, chill.
strategic U.S. naval base. The use of it as a penal colony is only secondary.
Okay,
Ever since
Obama said he was going to close it down.
it's a
That was
U.S.
his. That was his
We're not going to
election
close
pledge.
it down. We need it. It's a U.S.
Oh,
naval
well,
base.
he lied then, didn't he? He lied then. Okay.
Oh,
when he's
just
talking
like
about-
you lie every day, you fucking Welshman.
Hold on. Let's try to keep this somewhat civil and
Oh, come on. Let's
conversational.
not. I won't be
Well-
around that much longer.
He
At
doesn't
least
like facts. He
conversational,
doesn't like
like-
facts, Steve. They're facts. Everything I just said was a fact. That was one of his main things. To go
I
on.
want
We're
to
going to close down
continue
Guantanamo Bay.
with what Last Dance was directing earlier towards somebody else. Last Dance, do you remember? Damn it, he lost it.
no.
did
So I
not.
was saying
But
that
I was-
current.
I know I said it to incarnation.
Yeah, yeah. So
Alright.
what we were saying, what I was asking is, do you guys so far see Guantanamo Bay as being an absolute failure? Because as it currently stands, there isn't a single. Well, this is according to multiple sources, but currently there isn't a single migrant being held at Guantanamo Bay because it is basically impossible due to the fact that it isn't a facility that can be properly run at this point. So this entire brouhaha about sending everybody to Guantanamo Bay was really just a publicity stunt, just pure propaganda from Trump. So do you guys think that that has been a failure so far, considering that they're really not using it?
I'm
I,
sure they're
I
going to
wouldn't
use
say
it.
it's a failure. I just think it's a stupid idea. Why spend
gonna
extra
use it.
money to send somebody to Guantanamo Bay?
Oh, I agree with
They're,
that.
they're going to end up using it.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
now
was
it's
it a
showing-
failure when they had people that they knew
Alright.
wanted to kill mass numbers of Americans, but they really couldn't prove them without a reasonable doubt in a court of law, so they just stuck them there for really
Yeah,
long
Steve,
periods?
Well, I
There's
mean, if
still-
we're talking about the old Guantanamo Bay, sure, but that's been long closed, right? Like that's a chapter
No, no,
closed.
no,
We
it's
can
not.
talk. We listen.
No,
Stop with the
Khalid
conspiracy
is
there.
still
Let's just
there.
not go with the conspiracy.
Khalid is still there.
The official narrative on Guantanamo
Nice,
Bay, and that's the
nice,
one we have to
baby.
believe, is that the chapter was closed on Guantanamo Bay, and it is not officially used as a prison. And that
It's-
is that is a fact. Like,
But
that's what we have.
it
to go
is still holding 9/11 POWs there today.
I don't know if I believe that.
No,
As far as
Khalid is there. Khalid is there. Look it up.
but,
Khalid, you know, the guy who looked like what's his name from Saturday Night Live. Well, you know who I'm
He looked
talking
like a
about.
terrorist.
It looks like McGrand is correct. There are still,
Yeah,
according to
they're
Grok,
there.
there are still 15.
they're rotting
detained.
there because they can't find a solution. No country will take them, and we're not going to let Khalid go because he was the guy who designed 9/11. But we
Didn't he
tortured him. We tortured him, so we cannot fucking
okay, but that
try
doesn't,
him.
that doesn't
Under
really,
a court of law, we cannot try him. So he's stuck there in limbo.
Then
Okay.
kill
Under
them.
military justice. And the Supreme Court refuses to hear the cases. It's a fucking travesty.
I
Yeah,
agree with. I agree with. With
I'll have.
I
it's
agree
not-
with McGrande.
Hey, I have no choice. Looking as of February, I'm just reading a report here, and this is actually, this is a report from Biden's failure. The Biden administration admitting that they can't do this, even though that was a promise, a campaign goal. But anyways, announced a formal review with the stated goal of closing it by the end of his term, which basically was deemed impossible. There were 40 prisoners at the camp at that time, most of whom had been held for nearly 2 decades without being charged or tried. As of March 2022, one prisoner has been extrapolated to Saudi Arabia, bringing the total down to 38. So there's still 38 people being tortured there today. I take back what I said. Though it's not an official prison, that is awful.
And you know what? I know exactly where it is.
I know, but let's not forget these guys do want to see, or at one time they wanted to cause mass casualty events.
No doubt, Steve.
Oh, they're criminals. They're criminals.
No doubt. Some of the early guys that we released ended up going back into Western Pakistan. They were Pakistani Taliban, but they went right into jihad again, man. And
it'd have been easier just to take them all out at the time instead of trying to get info off them and all that shit. It's better off just taking them all out.
Maybe this is one time where the Constitution should not apply, so capital punishment can be just taken. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Can't do that.
You know what? It's a case where the Constitution didn't apply because these guys were tortured. They were tortured. They were tortured first by the CIA, and then they were debriefed by the FBI.
But am I supposed to am I supposed to feel bad though? Like honestly, like
yes, I was to ask the same.
Am I supposed to feel bad though?
I don't feel bad, but I do want to stand up for the right.
Here's my point. Here's my point. What happens tomorrow when you get snatched up off the street? Okay, because you got a Biden bumper sticker on your car, and all of a sudden you're in Guantanamo.
Listen, I'm lucky I don't live in the United States, right? Like, I will never take an American seriously with the first. If Trump does any half of the shit that he wants to do with the DOJ, I will never ever take an American seriously with the subject of free speech ever again. I will never take.
My Canadian friend, where do you live?
I live in Ottawa. I live in the
Ottawa. You're right on the border. You're right on the border. You might see a bunch of Wisconsin cheese eaters trying to.
I'm not right on the
make
border.
4 ways up there.
Ottawa's not on the border.
I'm not on the border at all. I'm good 2.5 hours away from the border. But
well, 2.5 hours. That's nothing for a cheese eater. They're coming up, buddy. They're coming up. They want your wheat fields.
Nah, they want more than the wheat. They want more than the wheat fields.
No, it's happening.
Don't know what cheese is. You think cheese comes between 2 plastic wrappings and it's orange?
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyways.
I love how he just reveals himself with his anti-American shit. Yeah, Welshman, you hate America, don't you?
Let's be honest about it. You don't know what cheese is. You don't know what cheese is. Like you didn't even know where Ukraine was up until 2 years ago.
Tom,
3 years ago.
Notice how I brought this argument into cheese.
Let's not go down that road.
What are you talking about? I don't.
Let's not talk about geography, eh? Let's not talk about geography, my granddad.
I'm here, geography teacher. Should I ask him something?
Yeah, go ahead.
We don't want fact-based.
Talk to him about Chile. Talk to him about Chile.
What's the capital of Honduras?
Dude, we could talk about Chile all day. Okay, Chile is west of Argentina. There's no way Argentine aircraft would ever fucking land in Chile if they could land in Argentina. It makes no fucking sense.
We're not going over that again, are we?
Yeah, I know. It's beautiful, don't you? I love it, Last Dance, how he brings it up.
No, the thing is, you've got the story wrong again. It wasn't an Argentinian aircraft. It was a British aircraft that flew and landed into Chile. That's what it was.
Oh, I know. It may be southern. You're right. On the southern coast of South America, there is Chilean territory. So maybe you're right.
You called me all sorts for 10 minutes. You even got the globe out.
Oh, I'm so offended. I love that. I love how I offend you. Just like that guy.
You didn't offend me.
Did you see his relative's cup?
Cup of tea says Obama, but with the apostrophe. Is that for St. Patrick's Day? Like O'Flaherty?
Did you say hi to Rosie O'Donnell?
Barack Obama.
So, McGrande, quick question. What is the biggest... Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, okay.
I want to make sure I hear you.
So in Florida, west of Florida, What's that big part of that big body of water that's west of Florida called?
The Gulf of
Gulf
Mexico.
of
No.
Yes.
No.
Not anymore.
The Gulf of SpaceX debris. That's what.
There
Yes.
you go, buddy. Now you're paying attention.
I think we should just
The
call
Gulf-
it the Gulf of Oil. Like, fuck at
the
this
Gulf
point.
of the
Who gives
Gulf
a
of
shit?
Americas is the
The
right
Gulf
one,
of
I think,
Oil.
because you know it's not just Mexico, it's America, it's Central America.
It's Gulf of
Oh my
Mexico.
God,
Gulf of
he
Mexico.
is such a
America,
goose
so-
stepper. You know what? In
Well, if
1939, you'd be a
oil-
member of the Bund.
We-
The
I-
Bund.
Gulf
I
of
wonder
oil,
why.
it's
I
The
mean,
really
American Nazi Party.
historically, does Trump want to call it the Gulf of America because he wants to, show the world that the Americans shit stomped the Spanish and stole Texas and California and all those places?
absolutely
Is that
right.
why he wants
Didn't
to
they
call
buy
it
it?
Huh?
the Gulf of
Didn't they
America,
buy
or
it?
is it because we have to forget the history of the United States and that part of the
Didn't they
United
buy
States
it?
that
Didn't
was
they buy
Mexico
it?
for a really long ass
Ah.
time?
No,
Absolutely true.
no, we won
Absolutely
the
true.
war.
The fact is Donald Trump has no idea and no concept that at least 25% of America was Mexico, and he hates that. He doesn't hate it because he doesn't know it. He's an ignorant, blabbering, fat.
80
No, I think he
20
knows it's
fuck.
Mexico,
80
and he knows
20
Americans.
McGrande.
He knows the Americans conquered it, and that gets him off. Right? He's on this whole conquering binge now.
The best thing
So
about
he
all
knows
this
that the
bullshit
United
you're giving
States
here, right?
conquered
This is
that
the
land.
reason
They
why Trump's in
effectively,
power.
they
It's
effectively
you two
conquered that
fucking
land by
chattering
every
on.
metric.
This is the
And now
reason
he
why
wants to
Trump's
show
in
the
power.
world how
Carry on.
much of a conqueror he is. So he renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. That's his shtick. Like, this is why he's obsessed with calling Canada the 51st state. This is why he's obsessed with taking over Panama. This guy is on an unhinged
He's a
imperial
felon. He went with Epstein. He's a slime ball. He means nothing. He is irrelevant. The reality is he is irrelevant.
The reason why he got a mandate is because of people like you.
He surrounded himself with vipers,
Carry
and
on.
we're gonna have
Call him
now,
a dictator.
now
Nick.
judges, now judges,
McGrande,
now
why do you
judges
call
in
him the
this country
dictator?
are being
And at the
threatened. Now
same
judges
time,
in this country
say
are being
Elon
threatened
Musk is not
by
elected. Go on, say
Republicans and
Elon
MAGA
Musk is not
proponents.
elected.
Ah.
Go
Every
on.
time a Donald Trump appeal is denied, judges are being threatened in this country. The rule of
I
law
hope-
is at stake. This is a critical moment in our history.
Oh, bullshit. Who's being threatened?
Bullshit. All of
once
these
again,
appeal
I'm
courts.
glad Last Dan stepped in there.
Where
Go
the
on,
hell
lad.
are you, Last
It's
Stand?
just total bullshit.
Check it out, dude. I'm not kidding around.
Well, I don't care
Check
if
it
you're
out.
not
Google
kidding.
it right
You're
now.
usually
You've been proved down
Google it right
wrong
now.
by Last
This
Dan
is the
already.
same
Last Dan
terrorist
proved you wrong
shit.
earlier on.
You know what?
Because you're misinformation and bullshit.
You know what? I think you
He
could go
proved you
fuck
wrong earlier
yourself.
on. He
You
called you bluff.
wealth
He
Hey,
checked
can
it
I
out,
say
didn't he?
something, please?
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You guys
Why
be
stay?
good.
Please stay. Come on.
Run,
Good
boy,
night.
run.
Please
Take it
stay.
easy,
Run.
Fran.
I just wanted to say that I like how Trump dealt with Zelensky. That was cool.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
So the
Dave.
U.S. Marshals less than a week ago have warned that the judges are facing an unusually high number of threats and unusually not high number of risks. So this is coming directly from the U.S. Marshals. And this is coming directly as a result of Trump stuff getting denied in courts.
We had the same shit going on under Biden. It's not like, the Kavanaugh. It was the same.
McGrande
same
ran.
shit. And
Is this a are these activists like progressive?
Related, where's this judge being targeted by fucking criminals, right? Like, there's another component to that which is also in this report kind of talking about it. It's not specifically political targeting. It's just judges in this season right now are facing higher risks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anna, let me ask you a quick question there. What's the general perception of how Zelensky and the meeting with Trump and Vance went over there in your
Well,
country?
I actually know that I'm from Germany, so half German, half whatever. But I read German newspapers and Austrian newspapers, and they went crazy. They were crazy. Like, how does Trump dare to talk like that? And
Right.
who does Trump think he is? And they were like Zelensky's a hero and how he won against them, you know. They did spin it completely. But the people, like in my school and people that I know, they said that Zelensky looked like an idiot. So yeah, he
Anna,
was actually.
So
if
you
it
No,
think
makes you feel better, Anna, if
you
it makes you
think
feel better, Minnesota
excuse me?
Senate Republicans are trying to introduce a bill to classify Trump derangement syndrome as a mental illness, if that helps.
yeah, interesting.
That bill is a mental illness.
Yeah. So Anna, would you say then that the media is pushing the narrative of Trump and Vance kind of looking like buffoons and Zelensky winning, and the general public is
You
the
might
exact
jump
opposite?
in and send weapons, and everybody might come to a conflict, you know, because the von der Leyen, the person who leads the EU, yeah, she said that she will do everything necessary, and if necessary, she's gonna take people's private funds. Really, there was a X message, and she doesn't care, and we need to send billions over there, and so I think people are afraid of the war actually. So because they will not stop. I don't know why they're so interested in Ukraine. I have no idea, but I think the EU will not stop supporting them until the end.
Aren't we
Right,
at a
'cause-
potential peace deal at the moment?
Yeah.
That's bullshit. These
That's
peace deals is
not
like in
going
Syria.
very well. Yeah, it's
It will not happen.
not going very well. The Russians aren't really negotiating.
Yeah. So Ukraine have basically sort of agreed on terms, but the Russians are walking all over them at the war field.
Yes, Ukraine will
Yeah.
have to capitulate.
What did we expect?
Because the Russians were already betrayed in Syria when they left the jihadists in one area, and now you know they're rearmed, and you know what happened. So Russia cannot be betrayed like that again. They would be idiots, yeah? They have to finish that. Otherwise, the EU will be broke also.
Jesus.
Millions of Ukrainians gonna die. Yeah? No,
Yep.
the Ukrainians will all die.
I
Everyone
thought you said Koreans. I
there,
was like,
all the
that's
men.
not normal.
Yeah? This
Yeah.
is crazy.
It
Well,
is
I would like
crazy.
to.
So
I
if
would
they
like-
stop the war, if they capitulate now, it's gonna stop now. I
No,
think so, yeah.
it's not going to stop now.
I'm
It's
not an
gonna-
expert, but
It's not going to
the
stop
Russians
now.
will not stop
Anybody,
now
anybody
Syria,
who anybody
for
who
sure.
thinks that Russia will stop in Ukraine is outside their mind. There is 120 plus years of capitulating to Russian demands and them shitting on it. This idea that Russia will stop is stupid. The next
No,
step,
it's
the
not.
next
You're an
step,
idiot. You're an idiot. Okay, let me
the
jump in here.
next
then.
step
Let me,
is Taiwan for China. Taiwan is going to
well, that's got
attack.
nothing to do with Russia.
China
That's
is
got
going
nothing
to
to do with
attack
Russia.
Taiwan. The
You want about
United
Russia?
States is going to
You
move
want about
out of
Russia? Then
Europe.
you
You're
switched
going to let
into
me
China.
talk here.
Let's talk about
I'm gonna
Russia.
talk, okay?
Let's
Let
talk
him
about
finish.
Russia.
Well,
This is what's gonna
let him
happen.
just finish, then you
This is-
can go.
This is exactly what's going to
He-
happen, okay? There's going to be a ceasefire that's going to happen in Ukraine, and the part of the land that Ukraine's going to give up some land. There's going to be a ceasefire. That ceasefire is going to
Okay.
last probably a year to a year and a half. What's going to happen is once China starts going after Taiwan, the United States will mobilize into the Pacific. They will move a lot of resources out of
Okay,
Europe.
you're
It's
moving
part
the
of why
goalposts
they
here.
want Europe to start arming themselves, because once they start moving out of Europe, Russia will start advancing into the Baltics. This is
Okay,
what is
right.
going to happen.
Can I
We
speak
all
now?
know it.
No.
And so far,
can I
We
they
don't
speak?
all know it. And they're going to start a nuclear war by
Can I?
tripping the red line of attacking
Yeah.
a NATO country? No,
They
won't.
already, yes, they will.
exactly. Last night.
Yes,
They're
they
not
will.
right.
Yes,
Right.
they will.
Can I interject
Russia
now?
has
'Cause I've
already
been-
shown in proxy
Can
that
I
they have no
interject?
problem attacking. They have no
I'm-
problem
I'm-
getting into engaging into
Can you
direct
hear me?
warfare with
Or
the
there's
United
no
States.
hear me now?
They have done it.
All right,
They have done it
Where?
in Desert Storm. The
Well,
United
he
States.
can't just keep. He can't just keep on. Just propaganding and just going through
No,
sentences.
no,
and
he
sentences.
had his moment. Now, respond. Have your retort.
All right. Let's see.